I am now fully level 30, and as of last night, I became fully quote-unquote high-end geared out. Now, there are some things that I'm going to discuss, as there is a patch notes out that's for the patch that's coming tomorrow. I've been playing with my friends and my other half, Lightheart Gaming, who is joining me today in the stream. Say
How you going? How's it going, guys?
We, as before, if you were around, we did a pre-launch cast, where we talked about things that were going on in the Dark Zone, in the betas, and stuff like that, blah, 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 blah. Now that we've actually had a chance to experience the game, and whatnot, we want to give our 2 cents on some things that are really glaring issues that we see, that we think could be handled a lot better. And then there are some things that
Just
really
don't need to be talked about. Don't need to be implemented in patch notes.
Yeah. As you can see, my game is loading up because I want to go over it in a sense of showing people what I'm having issues with.
Okay.
I was just in queue, but now it's loading up. That's the one thing. The game has a small queue some days, depending on what time you log on. Destiny didn't even have a queue.
Welcome to Lightheart Gaming. As the title says, this is a discussion video with some gameplay for The Division. Myself and SRA Gaming, Senior Airman, and I are going to be talking over some patch notes. We will hear both of us chip in with our different styles and where we see some of the patch notes have taken effect, and different things and explanations and so on. I will drop down the patch notes in the link below this video, as will Senior Airman. But first of all, guys, the game's been out 2 weeks, and the first thing I want to get off of the bat is all of these Reddit posts, and I will touch on that. Reddit has annoyed the ever-living hell. It ruins things, and it's ruined this game, potentially. I'll hand back over to Senior Airman.
Well, I don't think necessarily Reddit. There's the forums and all this different stuff that are going on where people go and, state their opinion and their concerns and their things that they don't like and stuff like that. A lot of them have to do with, number one, the Dark Zone.
Yes.
And number 2, going rogue. We will touch on that first, since that's one of the big glaring elephants in the room. Now, with our experience when we were running with our crew of friends, Lunchbox and Fuliosis, that would be our friends Kelsey and Max. We run as a crew in the Dark Zone, and one thing that we do, and we've noticed a lot, is that we avoid going to Dark Zones levels 1 through 3. Well, yeah, 1 through 4, I would say. I'll agree with you on that. Reason why is I'm not sure a lot of players know, but there's a lot. The higher the zones, you get different mobs and higher mobs, and they have a chance to drop more stuff, which we had a small complaint about, which actually is getting addressed in the patch notes that are coming up. As you can see, I'm just kind of running around my base of operations, collecting stuff and seeing what's going on. But the thing is we don't think a lot of players, and I know this is going to backfire on us, a lot of players know about the upper zones. Because we literally, for the past week and a half or so, have gone into the Dark Zone, and we go into Dark Zone 6, the very top one, and we can sit there and farm for hours and not run into a single player.
And not have any issues. I do agree with you there, but I'm now going to say this. Sorry, hun. I just need to say this. I did do a video. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Literally after release. Literally after release. And there were forums already talking about the Dark Zone and going rogue. And I said, and I will re-stipulate what I said. If you're going to go rogue, and someone sees you, and they're in a team, you are going to get murdered. And yet again, going rogue has come up on the forum betas again and again and again, and I really have to say, guys, I'm not a mainstream YouTuber. I am taking information from forums, and I'm taking information from senior airmen as well. I'm collaborating with other friends that play this game, and I know it's a really big elephant in the room, and I know Senior wants to take charge and take lead on this, but when somebody says in your fire team, do not go rogue, there are reasons behind it. Please be aware of this.
So, the biggest complaint with the Dark Zone, and we, like I said, we fortunately haven't had the issue of seeing rogues. I mean, we see them blip on the map, but the zones that we're in, we have not had the problem at all. We haven't even seen rogues. We haven't even gone rogue hunting, because it's usually what we do, because they're usually in the lower zones. And to be honest, we are more focused on getting our own levels up and our gear situated before we do any of that, because we don't want to. We want to get to a certain point. We don't want to jeopardize that by coming along with some possible high-end character who's just going to murder us. Hold on just a second.
But with a senior saying that, I now have to be honest with my viewers and be honest with senior airmen as well as everyone else, that obviously it was stated in the Division at release, it was stated high risk versus high reward, and I don't think people are taking that into account. High risk, high reward.
See, that's the that's the issue. Reading the patch notes, reading some of the forums, you've read forums, you've read this. I'm part of groups on, like, 2 different groups on Facebook where people post, they've been posting their pictures of their characters and their loadout and everything. And that's where I'm going to have a discussion about what I see with my glaring issue. But people are, the number one thing is, oh, I've seen all these videos, they take all their little videos from the PlayStation or Xbox, and they post them of them just like either murdering groups of people that thought that they were gonna kill them, they're gonna turn rogue on them and kill them and stuff like that, and you've got your complainers that are going around, oh my god, I was at level 48 and now I'm at level 43 or level 35 because I died as rogue and I lost so much XP. Well, yeah, of course. That's what you were told, what was going to happen. And they're like, well, it just doesn't seem like the reward to do so. Like, the risk versus reward, it doesn't make people want to go rogue. Well,
going
those
rogue
out
is
there
for dicks.
If you have played the game, and if you haven't played the game, I suggest you stop listening right now, because I'm going to say something that happens in the main storyline of the game. So if you are not looking forward to spoilers, I suggest you stop now. I'm going to say spoiler alert, and then I'm going to continue.
Right, spoiler alert, guys. Do be aware that this is a cross stream, and myself and Senior Airman will be discussing the game, and if you don't want to know what happens in the main story, I suggest you come away from the video as of this moment right now. This is the 10-minute mark. Please be aware, if you don't want to hear any spoilers, please do turn away.
So, in the main storyline of the game, as you uncover and do things for your base of operations and the side missions and pick up phone recordings and surveillance, you find out that a group of division agents has gone rogue. In the first wave is what they call them, and that's where the going rogue comes from. And it is your job as the second wave to essentially find these agents and kill them.
I can see you need back
Okay,
here.
this ties directly into the Dark Zone, because that's where a lot of their decisions were made to turn against the division because of what happened in the Dark Zone prior to it becoming the Dark Zone and what made it the Dark Zone. So even in the main storyline of the game itself, you go rogue, you are immediately targeted for death. Because you have turned against the division, you have disavowed it, as Isaac says when you go rogue. You have disavowed the division, you are now marked as a rogue. You're going to die.
And
in the Dark Zone, doing the player versus player thing, it is essentially, yes, it's a dick move to go rogue. Flat out, 100% dick move to go rogue.
Maybe next
So,
time.
for the player just die, you're going to lose your Dark Zone levels, you're going to drop money, you're going to drop your loot, you're going to drop your keys. That's what's going to happen.
Best deals in the city.
And people have gone so far as to literally complain that because they went rogue, they lost this level, they lost so much this, they lost so much that. I'm sorry, I unfortunately cannot feel sorry for you, because that is what was told, what going rogue was, and if you played the storyline, you completely understand that's what going rogue is going to be. You are marked for death. You are done. At least in this hindsight, you kind of get a blind eye because it's in the Dark Zone, and once you leave, you're fine. I would love to personally see it if your butt goes rogue, you come out, you're not part of the division anymore. Personally, that's my type of deal to it, because that's essentially what you've done. You should have the same treatment as the main character of the game gets. But I digress.
I now have to...
People have complained about going rogue and having the XP be so much, and that now that we see in the patch notes that they have made it so
you lose.
It's going to have a little bit more of a reward to it, or whatever. It's going to drop less point. You're going to lose less experience and less money and less of your items and blah 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 blah. Personally, I'm going to yell at Massive and Ubisoft for caving in to the player base on that. You designed the Dark Zone to be a certain way. Those of us that do not wish to partake in going rogue, we do that. We can go into the Dark Zone, we can PvP, or we can PvE, sorry. We can kill mobs with the high risk, because some of those mobs in there are very dangerous, as we have seen multiple times.
Yeah, we have.
Personally, we would actually like to beat them a little bit more difficult in the higher zones, but that's a different point.
The one thing I want to add, Senior, I know I'm cutting you off. The one thing I've got to add to your rant at Massive and Ubisoft, guys, from my perspective as a player, coming from Destiny, and this is exactly the same thing. This is exactly the same thing that happened with a couple of other weapons, where the game developers cave in and give the community what it wants. I don't see or feel the need for people to go on the forums, to go on the betas, to go on all these social media and bitch, whine, moan and complain, because it bugs the shit out of me. It bugs the ever-living shit out of me. The main reason why I am saying that Massive and Ubisoft are also to blame is because they did make it they did, like Senior has said, they did make it a certain way. And that's how it goes. Hello Tom, thank you for viewing. But my main grievance with the community is they had a weapon nerf implemented last week, which we will touch on. It took an employee of Massive 3 hours to find this thread and find out all of the information about this weapon being overpowered, OP. People were complaining, people were bitching, people were moaning. Yet again, guys, we have an issue of where the community cannot keep information to itself, i.e., different ways of acquiring loot, which we will touch on later. But as a community, I don't bitch and moan and complain and jump straight on the forums saying that this gun's OP, this gun's OP, this gun's OP, or this is OP, or this is OP, purely for the fact that I need to either A, experience the weapon, B, try and get the weapon to where it's classed as OP, and C, I am not going to ruin it for everyone else who has bought the season pass, who has bought the game. Because you've got all of these hardcore YouTubers getting all of these weapons, and they do not tell you where they got the weapons. They don't. Do you know why? And I will ask Senior. Do you know why they don't do this?
A lot of them. Well, I'm gonna play, and I hate doing this. I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit. Sometimes they get them as drops. Sometimes they do it just, I don't know, to keep their edge. I could see if this was a game that had a leaderboard or some type of way to proclaim you as the top player or something. There isn't. So personally, yes, I don't know why they do that.
And for me, I have to say this. The weapon that got nerfed was the Midas. One of our group has this weapon, and it was patched the very next day because people couldn't keep it to themselves in the gaming community. This is exactly the same with the Thorn. This is exactly the same as Destiny with the Galahorn. This is exactly the same, guys.
Well, the thing is, and this goes back to... Well, hold on. Let me interrupt you here, because I want to make sure you're on the right track and you're giving out the right information here. If people watch the previous video where where we had a discussion, where we talked about where PvPers were coming into this game trying to make it out to be some type of deathmatch type of game when it's not, that's where your problem with the Midas came into play, is that it was overpowered against players. Players could not, basically, it was a basically God mode button, pretty much like the 1,000-yard stairs situation over at Destiny right now. It was a weapon that essentially gave you this higher advantage with some of the perks it had on it. One of the talents, which they name in here, I can't even remember what it originally did because they don't say what it did. It essentially it just murdered anybody. If you were a rogue, you could literally go around and kill tons of people and no one could challenge you on it. Because of what it did. I think what it also did is, like, every kill you got or every crit or something, it reduced the cooldown on your signature ability, which made it basically every 30 seconds you had this up if you were doing what the perk had. If you had enough stuff to even activate the perk, and that's one thing I want to discuss but get to at some point here, and we're not going to linger too much on this Dark Zone situation. That's why it was nerfed. It was doing something and causing it to be accessible. The signature abilities, which is the cooldowns, the big cooldown, like the special in Black Ops and the special in Destiny, they were accessing it every 30 seconds or so, when it's like a minute cooldown or something
There's
like that.
5 to 13 minute cooldown, depending on what you choose. But with
So
this
that's why
said,
the nerf came into play. But it came into play mainly because it was used against players constantly.
with
So
that
there you go.
said, guys, with myself and Senior saying that, I have one issue with the Dark Zone. One issue. One and one only. In my previous videos, I have said going rogue, and even Senior has said this when we've discussed this before the Division even came out pre-release. We said going rogue is not beneficial to you or your team. However, there have been forum posts on, oh, going rogue is like everyone can see you on the map. Now, I'm now going to tell you, guys, every time you go rogue, it pops up on the map. Every time you fire your gun, it fires up on the map. You will be found. You can't run from being rogue. You've disavowed the Division, and you are going to get murdered. So when people have said, oh, I want this to be, going rogue is blah 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 blah, I'm sorry, but it's your own fault. I have absolutely, like Senior has already said, I have no sympathy if you go rogue and you end on the other end of my gun barrel, because I will not hesitate to kill you. I won't. Neither will any of my team. We will not hesitate. If there is a rogue in our vicinity, we will not hesitate to kill you, because you would kill us. It's kill or be killed if you go rogue.
Exactly.
And
so sitting there complaining that you're dying and that you're losing a ton of experience because you decided to go rogue, that's on you. You made that active decision.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But things that I have seen personally in the Division, even when I saw in the beta, for Christ's sake, I saw baiting. Recorded gameplay. Recorded gameplay.
Yeah, there's
other
tons
players
of that. There's tons
baiting.
of that. People run into. That's why I tell my crew or our crew when we're fighting and we get players that come near us. If we're fighting a giant group of mobs or something, I tell them, because I'm usually the lead of the group. I say hold your fire, or watch your grenades, watch your seeker mines. Don't even use them. Because people will literally run right into your line of fire so you can hit them.
Just for the hell of it, guys.
So you accidentally go rogue. So you go rogue.
Just for the hell of it. And I'm just going to scroll down to one of the patch notes, which I want to take charge on. And this is where I am now going to fire off my personal rant. Named enemies
closing doors
will now drop better loot in challenge mode than in hard mode. Okay, that's better. Get better loot. That's not all I wanted to talk about. I also wanted to where is it? Phoenix credits. That's what I wanted to touch on, guys. Phoenix credits. Those elusive, lucky little bastards that you get from defeating a named enemy. Within the first few hours of the game's release, people were already reaching level 30, going into the Dark Zone and killing named enemies and getting 15 to 30 Phoenix credits and getting high-end loot. Now this has been reduced.
That they had to do a stealth nerf where they nerfed it. So the first group of people that hit 30 had high-end gear within the first 2 to 3 days of just farming. Where the rest of us who hit 30 on the weekend, literally, like us, we just now got all gold.
I now have to reiterate what Senior Airman has said. And I will say, to the people that are watching this and thinking that these two don't know what we're talking about, we have the patch notes. That's why this discussion video is here. Before you start firing off in the comments below, are you fucking kidding me? Honestly, people, there is no leaderboard system. You will not be recognised for this. You will not be recognised for speedrunning the game, getting to level 30, Dark Zone level 30, and getting all of this high-end loot. You will not be recognised for it because the game is not designed like that. This is not Call of Duty, this is not Destiny, this is a first-person shooter with an RPG element. This was discussed... Third person, sorry. This was discussed post-release, prior release, and in our own videos, in our own content. So, for me, having to see all of these players on social media putting all of these high-end stuff, which they, you know, they farmed, some of them saved up Phoenix credits. If you saved up your Phoenix credits, guys, then good luck. You know, if you want that high-end piece of loot, there is nothing like saving up for it, because I saved up for the one thing that I didn't get to play with in the beta was the Liberator. I just got it. I got it last night. I saved up my Phoenix credits because I got the blueprint for it. But if you're going to go within 2 or 3 days when the stealth nerf after it had happened, I actually feel sorry for you, because you've just basically ruined the game for yourself. Because April is coming very, very shortly. It's less than 9-10 days away, and I will be streaming on my birthday. And the next patch that we will get will be Incursion. And for all of those people who got all their high-end weapons, I'm going to say, are they really going to help you in that mode? Are they going to help you in Incursion? Because Incursion, so what we've read, is a potential raid. So, as they've done this stealth nerf, as they've done the stealth nerf to Phoenix credits, I honestly feel that it was a very good move for Ubisoft and Massive to do before anyone knew about it, before it reached all the forum posts. Because some stupid idiot, and yet again I'm having to refer to the community for The Division, both on Facebook and multiple groups after that, you guys need to think whether you're streaming, whether you're writing forum posts, or whether you're reading Reddit, or whether you're putting on things for subreddit. Please be aware that gaming companies do read these. They read every forum that is related
Indeed they do.
to that specific game. This includes Destiny, Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed, and etc. You guys need to realize. You guys need to realize.
The biggest one of this is the patch note. Named NPCs will no longer respawn after being killed in the open world. This will prevent situations where players were able to kill the same NPC over and over again. Now, this was what we saw. When did I post that? Friday? Saturday? Somebody in one of the groups that I'm in, and I post this to my group of friends immediately, had found the quote-unquote loot cave that they noted of the Division. Now, if you're a Destiny player, you should know that in year one, there was this thing called the loot cave, and what it was a cave where it had a spawn point in it for mobs that had a very, 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 very short respawn timer on it, that when you killed the mobs, they would practically instant respawn, and you could sit there and kill them over and over and over and over and over, which would result in engram drops and all this different stuff, and people were just getting tons and tons and tons of loot out of it. Well, some players decided that they would once again try to find ways to beat the system or just farm the system and post that, oh, if you go and kill this NPC at this part of the map over and over and die, and then go back to that point, the character, the name mob will be there again, and you can respawn. And you can kill it again, let the mobs kill you, and you can do this over and over to get loot drops and blah, 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 blah. Well, those patch notes I just read you, they just fixed that. Not saying that it was a good thing to just say that, but we didn't know about no loot cave. We didn't need to know about a loot cave. We've got the Dark Zone. We've got hard missions. We've got challenging missions. We've got plenty of mobs to kill in the game that drop a lot of stuff. There's no need for a loot cave. There's no need for any little, I'm not going to say an exploit because it's not necessarily an exploit, but yet again it is. There's no need to do that.
I agree. I fully
then
agree.
what the first thing they do is oh, let's share this with the rest of the world. Sometimes if you have a secret, keep it to yourself.
Exactly.
Or keep it to your group of friends or something.
I agree
keep
with
it for a little bit, because this only came out a few days ago, and they're already fixing it.
So, with Senior saying that, I now have to say something on the loot cave. I now have to say that, to be perfectly honest, you guys, as a community, when you're doing all of these forum posts, when you're always getting on it and you're finding things, like I have said, like I previously said, no less than 5 minutes ago, games developers read forums. They read things. They see things. They get told things by you, the community. And for me personally, Senior's just pointed out, why do you need, as players, to go and exploit a loot cave to then have it patched when you've got the ability to go out there with your fire team and get high-end loot? This is where I have a problem with communities. This is where I have a problem with the Destiny community. This is where I have a problem, where I'm beginning to have a problem with the Division community. Everything you do as a player, whether you live stream, whether you read posts, or whether you reply to posts, or whether you post things up on social media, it is watched by developers. It is watched because they take feedback that you give them as a player for their next game. And to be quite honest, what game now offers a loot cave that's still in existence?
None of them.
None.
And that's because they get put out there. Now, I'm going to say again that the loot caves aren't necessarily a good or a bad thing. If you find them, keep it amongst your group. I understand if you feel that it's an exploit. I feel that maybe it is, maybe it isn't, depending on how you use it. Blah 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 blah. Like, for instance, I'm just gonna sidetrack here. I play Fallout 4. There was a glitch called the caps glitch, where you could literally sell certain things and basically get unlimited caps and buy anything you wanted from any vendor in the game. Now, the difference between Fallout 4 and this game, Fallout 4 is a single player game. It is not an online game. It is a single player offline game. When I first started playing, I'm going to admit I wasn't that good at it, but it was hard to get some of the stuff, and the play that I wanted to do, stuff was scarce. A friend showed me the caps glitch. I didn't use it to overpower the game or anything like that. I used it to be able to buy some things early on in the game that helped me be able to progress. People kept making videos left and right about this little glitch. It got patched. It's no longer fixable. It's no longer doable. Now, my point on that was, I get it. Yes, it's a glitch, it's something, but it's a single-player game. If it gave you an advantage over other players in an open-world game, I can see that. Hence why I see it here. I see it here, I get it, and I understand it. On Fallout, it wasn't needed, to be perfectly honest. It was a waste, personally. I mean, I get it, they want to fix it, they want to make everything fair, but it's a single-player game. Me getting a bunch of caps, or me being able to buy ammo for the guns that I use, didn't hurt anything, because it was my game. If I wanted to ruin my experience, I could do that. That's just fine. That's on me. It didn't affect anybody else, it didn't give me an advantage over everybody else. Now, in a sense, the loot caves kind of do and they kind of don't. Because the loot is so RNG, you just don't know. Now, the community doesn't realize how much power they have. Either that or they do. And sometimes when developers give into things like the rogue situation, and I kind of want to get back and get us back on track with other stuff and move on to other subjects, because I don't want to have this a very long video. I want to keep it under an hour. Loot caves and stuff like that. Okay, yeah. If you find them, patch them. If the community finds them,
keep it to yourselves.
Kind of keep them low. Keep it to yourselves. We're not. It's not that we're condoning it, but it's, you know, it's really rough. It's really a tight fit on how to say and how to do it.
Because from my point of view, for people that
personally, we don't need it.
We don't need it. I will say that we don't need that, because we go out as a fire team. We go raid the dark zone. We do what the game gives us. I am now going to point out, as somebody who's played Destiny, and you know, I didn't know about the loot cave. There was another loot cave in Destiny, and that was at the very beginning of the King's Fall raid. No matter what mode you chose, it was still there nonetheless. And it still exists. And the only reason why it still exists is because nobody uses it. And the reason nobody uses it is because they've got all the guns that they need to begin with in the first place. Or they would get guns from the War Priest Challenge, or Golgoroth Challenge, or even the Oryx Challenge. This is the tail. This is the flip side. This is a coin toss, really. If I was to say to, for example, Senior and the rest of the group that I had found a loot cave, and I posted it to them, and only they knew about it, and then information got leaked out about that loot cave on another source, which, believe me, this does happen. This does happen. As a community, yes, we have a responsibility to the game's developer for certain information. Not every little bitching, whining, moaning grievance that you guys decide to record or play or tell your friends about. Because like I've said, games developers read forums. You guys as a community are hurting yourselves for those who are coming into getting their friends in to the Division, because
now
it's just
one thing I'd like to say is that I want to get off of this little subject. You're right. the games developers do pay attention to forums, videos, and Reddits. Why not use that power to fix things that are glaring issues? Like for instance, in this game, one thing that we have noticed is the fact that, oh, you literally are forced to choose sides on what you want to build as. I am a medic. If you look at my stats, I'm going to show you on my screen here. As soon as it cooperates with me. My firearms is 1969, 1,000 or 121,027, 200. My health is at 1531, 50k health. My electronics is 2542, 28,742, and that's with some bonuses on my gear. You can see that I'm in all high-end gear now. I just hit that mark yesterday. Oh. Excuse me.
Sorry you didn't see anything.
With some of the problems here, and like I said, I am in a lot of groups on Facebook, and people love to share their loadout. This screen that you're looking at right now, people love to share this screen with people. A lot of people have a ton of DPS. I've seen upwards of 160 to 250 plus K DPS. The problem is with these people, that's all they have. They have 30k health, and they have like 9k, 4, 5, 10k electronics. They have no points in anything else, and they're in all high-end gear. You either got to choose, you're going to either be a glass cannon, or if you're going to be an electronics guy like me, you have to sacrifice a bunch of stuff in order to play that role. This game has 3 roles: security, medical, and tech. Technically, you have your damage dealers, you have some more tanky people, and you have your medic or electronics damage dealers. Getting upgrades in this game, it's very, very, very complicated. I have all orange gear. Just to get that, for instance, look at this. We have my gear right here. You will see it in a few seconds as there's this delay. I have a purple piece or a superior piece, and I have a standard or a common piece. One of them increases my health by 8,000. But it tanks my DPS by nearly 2,000 or 2, 3, 4, 5,000. This happens leveling. When you're leveling in this game and you're getting upgrades, it is very hard to choose an upgrade sometimes because you lose so much of one stat over the other. And most people want to balance out, or they want to be closer to one thing than the other. I personally have a hard time in challenge modes. Why? My crew that we run with, Lionheart Gaming, Lunchbox, and Fuliosis and Lunchbox have a high amount of DPS. A very high amount of DPS, I'm going to say. They have a very high amount of it. However, if they did not have me on the team, they'd be dead. Because they get hit by mobs, and they're dead. Because they have little to no health. Because all of their stats are in firepower. They meet the requirements to kill some of these challenge mode mobs. I, on the other hand, I can only take pot shots at them and reduce some things. I feel like I feel like a wet noodle compared to my friends. Because I just don't do the damage. There's a high damage requirement for challenge modes to kill some of these mobs at a very decent rate, because they have a lot of high armor and a lot of high health. and you have to be able to chew through that. They will chew through you with no problem. I don't hit that.
But
because
myself,
I decided to go the medical route. Any upgrades I get, I want to get... Hold on, Leon. I want to get tech or electronics and some firepower, but normally that doesn't happen. It's either electronics or electronics. There's no other health on that. There's like hardly any health. There's hardly any firepower. It's crazy. And that is a huge glaring issue in this game. The stat distribution in this game is absolutely gross. Now go ahead, Leon.
I chose to take the route of, you know, DPS with a mix of health, guys. I chose to take that. And you'll see my stats in a second. Hold on. I have, for my primary DPS, I have 100k. So I have 107k DPS. For my health, 61k. And for my skill power, as it's relatively low, it does do what I need it to do. It's about 18k. So, with stat distribution, with all of these high-end weapons, guys, what you've got to take into account, the way you level as a character then gets buffed or debuffed by your mods, by your gear, and by your weapons. So...
And sometimes that's really drastic. For high-end gear, you should not have to get rid of that much.
You shouldn't, guys.
You shouldn't have to give up that much.
You shouldn't have to sacrifice things for pure power. I mean, I know a lot of guys out there will choose to go high DPS, high health, high whatever. But at the end of the day, what you guys have got to realize is firepower is not the be-all and end-all. It's always about communication.
This is a team-based game. Everybody has roles to play. I just ran into a named mob. GG.
Need some help?
And he's dead. No, I just murderized him. Wow. Continue.
But as a community, like I have stated and like I have said, and like I will do so, say it, or like I will state again, as a community, we have responsibilities. Our responsibilities are to point the developers in the way of, if something goes wrong, they can get on it straight away. Not for trivial things such as going rogue, bitching, moaning, or whining about it, because it just makes the game less fun. And, you know...
Well, see, that was some of the posts I've seen in the Facebook group, they were complaining about, oh, going rogue is not fun, there's no point in going rogue in the dark zone, because no one wants to lose their levels, and blah, 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 blah. You're right.
Echo available from
There's more than one way to skin a cat in this game.
That's
the
very,
main
very
thing.
true.
That's the main thing. You don't have to go rogue to get points. You don't have to go rogue to get gear. You can kill the NPCs. You can do the missions. You can do whatever.
The game gives you guys... The game gives you everything you need to do, or everything you could ever need. That is what the game is able to do for you. Oh, you're suppressed now. Ah. But, at the end of the day, got murdered. There are a couple of other things that Senior Airman wants to touch on. And I don't want this video being an hour long. But at the end of the day, guys, please, please take note of what we are saying. We're not saying this for our own healths. We are not saying this to, you know, promote anyone, such as, you know, Activision or Ubisoft or Bungie or whatever. We're not here to promote them. We're just here for you. We are giving you some of...
Who the fuck is Lightheart?
Just some feedback from an actual... I'm not going to say like actual player's point of view, but
one of the guys
we aren't big YouTubers who put out, you know, weekly content of tips and tricks. We're just players. Yeah. We're your average,
is that one of the guys we played with the other day?
But we feel that these type of players, like us, need to have more of a voice, rather than the guys who, I believe he's from the UK, like we like to call tryhards.
Oh, I don't like that kid.
The top YouTubers, yes, they bring a lot of attention, and they get sponsored by the things. I even believe Lightheart here had an attempt at being part of, what was it, UB Club? Yeah. UB's
Ubisoft.
Streamer Club or some... Ubisoft's streamer dealy wop.
Base operations.
He has yet to hear from that, and I sincerely hope he gets to participate in that. But the thing is, a lot of these higher end YouTubers
I got me a custom M44. Does 30K.
Content that I feel,
but I don't know if I want to. I like my SRS. I think I'm just gonna keep that.
Is irrelevant sometimes. There's one YouTuber out there who we actually praise because he actually broke down a lot of stuff about the game for us in a way that we understood it. But a lot of these other guys are in here. We've seen videos of guys who made videos based on the beta. Oh well, you know, it's gonna be a cool game and all, but you know, I don't like this, and this. And even stating that it was a highly restricted beta, they made this huge judgment based on that. Don't do that. Enjoy the game. This is actually a very nice game. It has actually filled our time very well, and it will continue to do so. We are also, side note, we are also looking forward to the patch that's coming for Destiny in April. That looks good and promising. We're gamers. We're not contracted to play one game at a time.
No. Like Senior Airman just said, I have approached Ubisoft. I did approach Ubisoft about a week or two before the Division's release to promote them. I went to them. I am not famous. I'm not a YouTuber. I do the odd occasional video. I do the odd occasional vlog on my Facebook channel. And I do the odd occasional vlog on my YouTube. I am not paid by these companies. And the one YouTuber that Senior Airman is talking about that we have both praised, that our whole team praises at the moment, is Boomslang, because of the information that he has given us well before release and after release. Guys, if you want to get tips and tricks on how to play this, stop paying attention to the Facebook shit and go to people who are professional gamers, who are paid to do this. If you want to go to see Boomslang's videos on high DPS videos or tactics or strategies, then do so. Don't go to the forum posts, because it just ruins it. It does ruin things when people, like I said, like I keep repeating, bitch, moan, whine, because that's all it is on these forum posts. If you want clear, concise information, myself and Senior Airman will try our best to do so, but if you want to go higher than that, then go to Boomslang. Simple as.
There's some really good, there's a lot of good information out there on the game. There's a lot of opinions. There's a lot of, oh, this gun's the best. No, this gun's the best. You need to. We can't let up now. It seems hold on. Thank God that Pharaoh guy. I found that phone call again.
Which phone call was it? Who was it?
The heavy breathing one.
Oh,
oh no! It's another part of it!
I've got someone here who's been dying to talk to you. Mr. Candle's been screaming about that Amherst guy ever since you got back from his apartment. It's freaking me out.
Oh my god, she got his mom! Okay, so sorry to interrupt her whole thing here. We leveled together, and we came across this. This is now the third section in this phone recordings that you can pick up across the city about this guy that calls this lady, and all he does is breathe heavy into the phone. And we found the first one, and we kind of chuckled at it because you know, you pick up and they're all different stories and whatever around what happened around this event. The second one, the lady calls him back. It's just exasperatedly breathes heavy into the phone. She's like, "Oh yeah, you like that? You like that?" And he was all freaked out that somebody was calling him and breathing heavy into the phone. Well, I just found a third one where he calls her again and she replies. She goes, "Oh, I found someone that you want to talk to," and it turns out to be the dude's mother.
Guys,
that's hilarious.
There are so many in-house jokes in this game. It is unbelievable. But we digress. If you want to see the patch notes, and if you want to ask us questions on opinions for a patch note, because we're coming up to about an hour now, please do ask us. So I'll put my Twitter handle down below. You can send anything you want directly to me, and I will get it.
Like sweet tea.
But guys, please listen to us when we say,
"Warning, you are now leaving the safe area."
Judge the game for yourself.
Judge the game for yourself. And to those who are in fire teams, please think very carefully what you post. Because I don't want... This is a game that's only been out 2 weeks into its first year. Because this has got I think this has got a couple of years plan for the Division. I know it's got a year plan. I don't want that to be scrapped. I really don't. So please do take into consideration what you post, what information you're sourcing, where you're sourcing your information from, and what you are posting on Reddit and etc. because games developers do listen. That is the final parting note from me, Lightheart Gaming.
And my final parting notes on this: enjoy the game.
Oh no! There's one thing I wanted to say about.
Apparently he's not done.
No, I'm not.
Apparently.
The error code, guys. The error codes that you are getting. They are reducing a patch. They are getting a patch in that so it can be fixed. So I'll put down. All the patch notes for you in the link when this video goes up. So yeah, that is a real parting note from me. This is goodbye from me, Lightheart Gaming, and I'll see you guys sometime soon, agents.
Now that I have less than a minute to give my final parting words, it's my time to take it up. Thank you.
Sorry.
Enjoy the game. If you want information, there's a ton of good ones out there. Some of the more professional ones are out there, and all this different stuff. I would personally like to get on that level. That's why I stream as often as I do, and hopefully get more followers. But know this: this is not a Call of Duty deathmatch game. Going rogue is bad. Don't complain about going rogue and getting killed, because that's the ultimate end for a rogue, is to get killed. And don't overly complain too much.
Enjoy the game for what it is. Please enjoy the game, guys. Please do.
And with that, I am done.
As am I. Take care, guys. Senior Airman and Lightheart Gaming. We're off now. Sayonara.